Hey YouTube, I heard you're looking for a survival crafter and that some of the ones on the market right now might be just a little bit too kiddie or a little bit too lax or a little bit too, I don't know, just not really all that much fun. Well, I said I was coming back with game reviews after last week's more serious YouTube video, and today we are here to do just that. After 11 long years in early access, 7 Days to Die has finally hit 1.0. The game is officially old enough to know that when its dad told it would be back after getting milk and cigarettes, that it was in fact lying and it is never coming home. What an age to be. Developer The Fun Pimp's survival crafting kill all the zombies game has going through a lot of iterations since it first released after a successful Kickstarter to get it on its feet. It's had a hell of a journey to this point, and we are going to go ahead and take a look at what the end of that journey is actually looking like as it has finally hit full release as of about a month ago. From the jump, you're thrown to the wolves, you have nothing, you know nothing, Jon Snow, and you are going to learn the ropes really fast or you're going to get your ass eaten by every zombie that you come across. A wham bam thank you man tutorial will get you started with your first few skill points to get the game going, and then after that, it's the standard gather this, get that, get the next thing, build that, get yourself on your feet, rinse and repeat, survive all the zombies. Your first priority after completing this tutorial is going to be to find your first trader. When you get to that trader, you will actually have successfully gotten a quest done, and then from there, the world is your oyster. So where are you going to want to start with the Fun Pimp's brand new 1.0 release of 7 Days to Die? Well, you could start by building a base. You could start taking quests from the aforementioned trader. You could go out and explore. You could do anything and everything, just like any survival crafter out there. So after you decide which course of action to take after getting your first visit to the trader, it's time to start deciding what kind of build you might want to jump into. You're going to have 5 options to choose from straight from the get. You're going to have perception, you're going to have strength, you're going to have fortitude, you're going to have agility, and you're going to have intellect. Now, each one of these different areas of expertise is going to come with its own perks. If you go the strength route, you're looking at probably specializing in clubs and baseball bats and, you know, maybe a shotgun, because we all know zombies like to get right up on top of you, and when they do, you want to blow their head clean off. If you decide to go the fortitude route, you can essentially become Wolverine. You can have a healing factor. You can basically use claws over a long enough period of time after you've leveled up your punchy skill. You'll start with a little bit of like leather and metal wraps, and then you're going to go up to brass knuckles, and then finally you're going to add what looks to be a wine service, a half of a scissors, and a pocket knife on the end of those brass knuckles, and that's how you're going to dispatch every zombie you come across. You are absolutely able to mix and match any and all of these as you make your way through 7 Days to Die. However, the strongest perks and the strongest level of these perks are only going to be available to you as you go deeper into one of those base skill trees. Now, unless you're an idiot like me who likes to do permadeath style gameplay in these kind of games, quick aside, I am currently doing permadeath runs on my Twitch channel. You should definitely come over and check it out, or you can catch it right here on YouTube, as I am going live these days with dual streams here on YouTube. This typically will not be a huge issue, as you do respawn whenever the Walking Dead decide to eat your unwashed ass for doing dumb shit. After you get done with the trader, as I said, this is going to be your main area, and this is where you're going to take the next few steps into the game. Finding the trader is going to put you in the area we're going to spend the next few steps of the game. Now, you're going to have some options from here. You can explore the area around the location to get the lay of the land, kind of figure out what the hell's going on. You can start doing quests for the trader immediately. Both have their upside, honestly, but if you do want to get some XP and currency by doing said quest, that's usually a pretty good way to start. Also, working with the trader has the long-term benefit of potentially earning you rewards that you may not otherwise find. So it's kind of nice to get some overpowered shit straight away in any kind of game like this, because it's going to make your chances of survival way goddamn better. So it's time to start killing Zeds. It's time to start gathering resources, start building that base so that you can survive. Early parts of the game will have you in a mad scramble, wondering what you should hold on to or prioritize as you are doing your exploration or doing these quests for the traders. Now, really quick spoiler alert, definitely want to prioritize food and water. You're going to want to find plenty of either of those if you plan on surviving. The game does have a thirst and hunger system implemented, so unless you want to kiss your sweet behind goodbye on the quick, you are definitely going to be wanting to find both of these very, very quickly. And if you're not finding them, you're probably going to end up buying them from the trader or one of the many vending machines hanging out across the map. Now, the exploration and combat, whether you're doing it on your own or for the quests from the traders, is very fun and rewarding in this game. Learning how to tackle the zombie threats and sometimes the wild animals that are going around the map without getting too far behind the 8-ball health-wise is a huge learning curve that is super fun and rewarding to learn. You'll even have a wide variety of tools to get the job done. As I said, in the aforementioned skill tree system, you're going to have a lot of different tools that are going to be a little bit more useful depending on which way you go, and it includes axes, machetes, sledgehammers, shotguns, sniper rifles, bows. The world is your oyster in this game in terms of weapons and how you want to tackle it. Now, the excellent thing about all these different weapons, there are 3 different tiers that you can get as you learn the different crafting skills to utilize them. As you continue to upgrade both your weapons and armor by finding skill books that are going to allow you to craft better and better versions of them, you're going to learn that getting into the harder places is going to be an amazing thing to do because it just means you're going to get better loot. The game's loot system is built in a way that as you level, it all improves, but there's also a way to artificially boost it through armor, through items, through going into different biomes, all denoted by a skull in the upper corner of the screen. And you'll know whether or not it's going to be a little bit more difficult based off of how many skulls you see. Each point of interest has its own skull level. Each biome, as I said, has its own skull level. So you're going to know over time and as you learn and as you've probably died a few times, which places are going to be a little bit harder than others and what kind of loot you can expect out of each one of these places. You can even get really risky in the beginning and go into any one of these. Your chances of living are very, very low. But if you manage to get through the entire point of interest or area that you're in, you could actually stand to benefit with some super seriously powerful stuff. Now, what is the point of doing this cyclical thing in this survival crafty zombie bashing adventure? True to its name, 7 Days to Die has a endpoint of 7 days. Now, only in the loosest sense of the term. What that means is every 7 days, there's a huge horde of zombies that's going to show up and try to kill you from the hours of 10 o'clock at night until 4 in the morning, at least based off of base settings. That is what they call the blood moon, and those zombies are coming after your sweet, juicy, tender ass. What we're looking at here is between all the looting and the questing that you've done this entire time, is that you should have been building a base. If you weren't building a base, when this blood moon hits, you can absolutely kiss your ass goodbye unless you are armed to the teeth. Now, there's a few ways you can approach your base building. You can either take over a point of interest that you've cleared out on a quest or otherwise, build it up, make sure it's a little bit more impregnable from the zombie hordes, or you can take it upon yourself to do it all from scratch. Now, the all from scratch method is pretty cool because the building system that the Fun Pimps has put in 7 Days to Die is pretty damn good. You'll be able to find a wide variety of shapes, beams, anything that you can almost think of, and you can turn it and twist it in any conceivable way to actually outfit your base that you have envisioned. In my opinion, it is definitely one of the more underrated aspects of 7 Days to Die. So as you have your base and you're hitting these blood moons, they are going to get progressively more difficult. If you are able to survive the 7th day one, you're going to see another one at day 14. No two hordes that you encounter through all this time that you spend in the game are going to be alike either. There's a very high likelihood that on your first blood moon, you're going to see a lot of the zombies that you've already seen as you've been questing, looting, doing everything else around your base, trying to build it up. But it comes with the bonus of, on these blood moons, probably introducing you to some zombies that you haven't seen yet. As you make your way through the game and you level up, the zombies are going to be leveling up with you, and it just so happens that on the blood moons, that's when you'll usually see the biggest difficulty jump. So you're going to be getting your original recipe zombie, your feral zombie, denoted by the little beady yellow eyes that they have when they come running towards you. But you'll probably also start seeing irradiated zombies, basically the zombies that look like they're covered in snot, and wait for it, now wait for it, irradiated and feral zombies. Now, outside of each one of these archetypes, you're also going to be encountering stronger, different, and more dangerous zombie types as you progress through the game. You'll see undead dire wolves, which will probably tear you apart. Let's be honest, guys. These things run up on you. They do 100 points of damage a pop. So unless you're in a base or you're really well armored or you're able to kill them from distance, you can probably put a safe bet on you dying as soon as you see one of these things. You're going to see vomit spewing popos and incredibly dangerous military zombies with what are essentially just bombs strapped to them that as they get closer to you and you start shooting them, there's going to be a little beep, 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 and you can probably guess what's going to happen after that thing stops beeping. Improving your base, your weapons, and your skills are going to be the deciding factor as to whether or not you get through each one of these blood moons. All of this can be done as you continue to do your exploring and quests that we've already talked about. Finding skill books to unlock better gear, or leveling up and getting the skill points to make you more effective in combat or effective at, say, farming or being stealthy, or just getting lucky by finding a bunch of other random stuff as you're out there doing your thing, are really going to help you accomplish this. And that essentially is the game loop of 7 Days to Die. You get out there, you explore, you kill things, you make sure you're doing quests to improve your weapons and armor and your skills, and you continue to wash and repeat. So what else are big selling points of this game? Now, with the release of 1.0 7 Days to Die, the Fun Pimps have given players a few options to make this experience either harder or easier, depending on what kind of undead pain you would like to inflict on yourself. It gives you all kinds of settings that you can adjust. You can adjust to not lose experience on death. You can adjust that same setting to make it so that when your character dies, you're starting completely from scratch. See the aforementioned permadeath crap that I was talking about earlier. Zombies can be made harder or easier as well. In the day cycle, they can be made faster or slower. Same way at the night, because usually at night in this game, the zombies are sprinting around like like madhouses, but you can make them slower if that's just something you're not down with. All of this only takes a few clicks whenever you start a world, and another cool thing about this is that even if you've already started a world with certain settings, you can always go in and change those settings before you go back into it a second time. If you're feeling super froggy, you can dive into the PvP aspect of the 7 Days to Die experience. Now, I'm sure that we can probably all agree that adding the human element into something like this would be probably a huge griefing experience, and it usually is when it comes to this kind of stuff. But if you really want to see the worst humanity has to offer, then I would definitely suggest checking out 7 Days to Die PvP. Where the game really shines the most and where most of the player base exists is the cooperative PvE experience. Building elaborate bases, as I mentioned before, to survive the hordes with friends, or tackling some of the game's harder points of interest as you get further and further along is one of its best qualities. The game has given the player endless options to build bases. You can go with a trap-laden base that you will never see a zombie even get close to you, and if it does, it's probably going to be so weak you can take it out with 1 or 2 hits from your melee weapon or a ranged weapon. Okay. There's also other style of bases where it's literally just let the zombies come right up and you have a little view hole, and that's where you're constantly stabbing them with a knife or punching them in the face or smashing them in the head with a club. I, for one, have seen a lot of people spend a lot of time on their base building in this game, and I know how rewarding it can be to come up with new ways to make sure that you survive each one of these nights without dying. Now, the game doesn't come without some flaws either, everyone. I myself have even noticed on a very good gaming machine that there can be some latency issues even when I'm playing single player. I don't know if it's potentially a memory leak in the current build of the game, but a quick reset of the game will usually fix this, but it has led to me dying in some spots that I didn't really want to die in. As someone who does a bunch of permadeath, it can be really annoying when you're thinking you're doing everything that you can to survive, and then suddenly a zombie that you think is about 10 feet away from you is right on top of you and suddenly hits you for that last little bit of hit points and ends your run. As I typically play alone, some of these issues can be a pretty big deal. The latency that I just mentioned, and then of course you have the occasional zombie that wants to clip through a wall and just hit you. It's pretty interesting when you're hiding behind a door and you think you can hit them through a little hole that they may have made as they're trying to bash their way through, and then suddenly you see one crawling on the ground, swiping at your feet and somehow hitting you through the actual goddamn door. Now, I also need to mention that even though the game is technically in a 1.0 release, you can tell that there have been some optimization issues that have cropped up with other people. But in fairness, what games don't have this? There are so many different setups out there and so many different ways people cobble their computers together that you can't really expect every game to come out in tip-top shape. But for the most part, it still does a pretty damn good job. Let's be honest, even the AAA games that we see come out these days are almost complete dumpster fires on their initial release. It's also worth noting that the graphics are pretty dated. Now, it's not as bad as it was in its first, few forms when the game came out 11 years ago, but I would be lying if I didn't say some of the stuff in the game looked pretty goddamn janky when it came to animations or just the way some things were rendered. So ultimately, after all the things that I just told you, is the game worth it? Well, at the current price of 45 American clams, I can confidently say yes, with some asterisks. I bought the game about 4 dev cycles ago when it was still in early access for $25, and I can say it's worth the money, and I would still probably pay the $45 that they're asking for it now, knowing everything that I know. Another reason that I am confident to say this to all of you who are watching this review is that the Fun Pimps have come out and said they have a lot of new content planned as everything evolves. They definitely want to continue to optimize the game. They want to continue to make the small tweaks and improvements to it, both graphically and with the engine, to make sure that the player experience is absolutely amazing. Now, in terms of those updates, they've currently planned to add an actual AI human faction that you have to deal with as you're navigating the zombie hordes. And they also want to make sure that it is complete crossplay over every platform. So the cool thing is right now is that yes, you can play this outside of your potential janky computer that may not be able to handle or keep it optimized on PlayStation and Xbox. So it would be pretty cool as time marches on that no matter who your friends are or what they're playing on, if you guys want to sit down and have this experience together, you're going to be able to have it because the Fun Pimps wants you to have it. I find that particularly awesome because I actually have a few friends myself that only played on their Xbox and PlayStations. And knowing that over time I will be able to play with them is a pretty goddamn cool thing. Now, I'm going to have to be honest with you guys right now. I am not a huge survival crafter game player. It has never really been a genre that I've really gravitated towards, and it never really interested me all that much. What I can tell you is that 7 Days to Die has hit all the right parts of my video game player brain. Now, particularly as a permadeath player, the risk-reward feels really good. The ability for the user to customize their experience feels really good from anyone who wants to be playing this game standpoint. And the huge sell, in my opinion, is that both hardcore and casual players can play this one together. Not only can they play it together, but I genuinely think that if you do, you're all going to have an absolutely amazing time. And that's it, y'all. That's the old man's review of 7 Days to Die, a survival crafter zombie bashing game that you are probably going to enjoy and is definitely worth the price tag. And if you guys want to add anything below, please make sure that you do so. I'd love to have a discussion about this. If you have any questions or any comments or any concerns, make sure that you like and subscribe as well. It's really going to help me as I continue to make these video game reviews that I actually love doing, and I hope I bring some value to you all. Also, a huge shout out to my Patreons and any of the channel members that are here right now. I can't thank you guys enough for keeping me around to make sure I can continue to put out content on YouTube and entertain you guys, hopefully just a little bit. If you found it useful, make sure you tell your friends about it too. Maybe they'll like some dumb old man on the internet with a bald head talking about a video game that they might actually be interested in playing. Now again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to find a community that enjoys this game, go ahead and join the Discord. We definitely play it in there. We definitely play it on my streams, and we definitely have a goddamn good time with it. I'll see you guys back here in a couple weeks. I hope you have a wonderful day. Definitely plan on seeing a review about Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, and I cannot wait to play it. Thanks again, everyone, for coming around. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.